Today I'm painting waves. Hi everybody, Steve Elliott here again. Today I'm just doing an exercise really. I'm using Artrage on the iPad and I want to paint some waves. So you could call this a finished painting when it's done, and I guess you could hang it on the wall and it might make you feel relaxed and chilled out and thinking about nature and all of that. Really, for me, it was just an exercise in trying to capture some waves, and I wanted to do it in Artrage because I felt that the foam of this wave coming in on the shore would look quite cool with the thick paint that you can get in Artrage. So that's why I've chosen Artrage oils. I used three brushes for this, the roller, and that put the first coat of paint on that is kind of local to the area. So I rolled on a bit of the blue-green at the top, and then went to a sandy colour, and then down to the almost white in the bottom half. That was all put on with a roller. Then the bulk of the painting was done with a round brush. That was all. And then I went over it, picking out little bits of detail with the thick oil brush, the round one again. I didn't use any square brushes, just the round one. And I kind of wanted it to look a bit abstract in its application. I didn't want it to be sort of... I used to be a sign writer years ago, and I used to you'd paint very neat lines with sharp edges. And I didn't want it to be like that. I wanted it to be sort of rough-edged and a bit, looked as though it was, if you was close up, you just see sort of random strokes splashed onto the canvas. But then when you stand back, you see the shapes of the waves. So that's what I was going for. I didn't want it to look as though it had been designed like a piece of graphics done with vectors or anything. I wanted it to look very painterly, if that's a word, and that's what I'm going for. So I'm painting on the first layer because, as you probably all know by now, I like the way the paints merge together if you work on the same layer. I think, if I remember rightly, I did create a second layer for some of the thick brush work that I wanted to really sort of pop a little bit and stand out. But most of it was all done on one layer. As you can see, you're brushing in the paint mixers on the canvas almost. Well, it does. And I was doing a new technique actually, where I was taking a colour, say for example, the light green in the wave in the middle top of the screen. I would take that, paint that on, and smudge it into the darker blue next to it, then sample where I'd smudged it. So I'd sampled my blended colour, and I was doing that a lot in this one. I've never really done that before. So I was actually mixing colours on the canvas and then sampling them by holding the stylus on the screen to pick that colour up. And it enabled me to do a lot more blending work and sort of get a colour very close to another colour that was already on there. So I found that really useful. And I'm just sort of doing what I always do, just sort of roughing in the basic shapes and then just continually refining them and painting over them, changing them to more like the photograph. So it is very different to what I normally do. I did enjoy it. I got a big kick out of this because it was sort of an exercise. And if you're doing an exercise, you're stretching yourself, aren't you, all the time? Because it didn't look like a wave at first. And I was thinking, I don't know if I can pull this off. And then you start looking at it closer, and then you start exaggerating things like those little thin lines that I've painted on my photograph. You couldn't see them like that, but as soon as I started to put them in, it started to look like water and like waves. So this was about sort of pushing boundaries and trying something new. Not necessarily going to be a painting. As it happens, I think it does work as a sort of an abstract painting. So I'm really close to the end of the painting now. I'm just putting in final bits of detail, looking where I think the light would be catching the waves and adding that little bit of sparkle here and there. Just putting the final touches on at the top of the wave. I think, yeah, I just need a little bit of something there where the light would be catching it. And that is pretty much it. I'm just sort of going over, fiddling really at this point. So that is my exercise in painting waves. There it is. I think it is a standalone painting, although it is really just an exercise. I hope you've liked this video. If you have, big thumbs up as always would be much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I have lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I will see you all in the next one. Bye.